Welcome, my beautiful soul friends, back to Simply Be. And this week, we are going to bring some awareness to forgiveness, particularly forgiving the unforgivable. So I've been reflecting on forgiveness a lot this week. Forgiveness has been a really big part of my own healing journey. And so I'm a big advocate of forgiveness and how freeing that is for us. But what I've had to really sit with this week is, what if the act or the deed or the situation is actually unforgivable? Like, it's terrible. And with a really unforgivable situation, there's like a lot of heavy energy that goes with that. And forgiving that feels like you're saying what they did was okay. And it's not okay. Like, it's unforgivable. So this is where it's like, this is a tough one because it's unforgivable. So I had a bit of an aha moment this week while I was sitting with this. And it was something that, it was words that just kind of hit right. It was, what if some things are just wrong? What if some things are just wrong? But as human beings, our mind wants to make sense of it. You know, this thing that is really unforgivable. I'm trying to make sense of it. Why would they do that? Who does that? Right? Or what if the heart wants to understand it? Like, why would they hurt me like that? Like, why, whatever the situation is. And then the ego, of course, would like to see justice or karma unfold in some satisfying way. Maybe the ego wants some kind of vengeance. So while all of this is happening, while the mind and the heart and the ego all continue to try to, find answers, the nervous system, your nervous system, my nervous system, this story lives in the nervous system, and the nervous system carries the weight of the story. And so this is when I realized for myself that forgiveness, even forgiving the unforgivable, frees my mind and my heart. Forgiveness is for me. It frees my ego, and it will eventually free the nervous system. So some things are just wrong. What if I'm never going to be able to figure this out, make sense of it, understand it? What if justice is never actually going to be served here? Am I willing to compromise my own well-being, like my physical body, my emotional body, my mental body? Am I willing to let my mind just ruminate over this and how unfair it is? Am I willing to, our heart will do different things. We might just shut down and just say, nope, not dealing with it, which is, whether we avoid it or whether we ruminate about it, the story is still stuck in our nervous system. And this is where it affects our health. It affects our nervous system, so that affects our digestive system. It affects our immune system. It affects our sleep. This is where we can, anxiety comes in. This is where, depression can come in. I'm not okay with that, me personally. So when I can lean back and say, this isn't okay. Some things are just wrong. This happened, right? It hurt, or I'm never going to be able to make sense of this. Justice might not ever be served. I cannot change this. So there's that level of acceptance. Not approval in any way, shape, or form. What they have done or are doing or continue to do is just wrong. But I can't change it. So now I decide how I'm going to move forward with this, so that my nervous system doesn't continue to carry this story and affect my health. So forgiving the unforgivable is not, I forgive you because you deserve it. It's, I release this because I deserve peace. So this is what this week is all about. This week's reflection is, and anytime there's like a reflection, it's an invitation to stay curious and open the mind and, ponder some questions. Do you have some stories that continue to live in your nervous system? Is there pain of a situation that is just replaying internally, whether it's in your mind or your heart, or again, affecting that nervous system? What would it feel like to just stop carrying that heavy story around? Can forgiveness actually exist without needing to actually, because it's unforgivable. We can't approve of it because it's unforgivable what they've done or what they're doing or continue to do. So can forgiveness exist for you in your mind, in your heart? And what would peace feel like in your body? And those are some key questions to sit with. If there is something in your life that just is so unforgivable. So that's what the reflection is. Forgiving the unforgivable. It really comes down to not wanting the story or the deed or the behavior of someone else to continue to live in your mind, your body, and your nervous system. And in that reflection time, just kind of lean back and notice how your mind kind of searches for answers to why, or to understand it, and how, the ego kind of, justice needs to be served. They can't get away with this, or why do they keep getting away with this? Maybe the ego just wants closure, but what if it's not going to? Never will it get closure. Never will justice be served, because some things are just wrong. So this is where we got to come in. I don't want my nervous system to carry this anymore. And that's the first step. Taking that. I don't want my nervous system to carry this story anywhere. I don't want it to live in my mind, my heart, or my nervous system anymore. And in that awareness and in that willingness to say, yeah, no, I don't want it living in my body, then we're ready to free the nervous system. It can be a process, of course, especially if this is something you've been dealing with for many years. But the decision, the intention that you are no longer going to carry this story, this burden of someone else's wrongdoings, is no longer going to live in your nervous system anymore. That is a pivotal awareness point where then you can start to heal. You can begin to say, okay, I understand this forgiveness piece now. This is how we forgive the unforgivable. Because again, it's not about them. It's about releasing this so that my nervous system can self-regulate, my mind and my heart can find some peace. So I release this because I deserve peace. So that's what this week reflection is about. This requires us to open our heart and open our mind and to stay curious and to be willing to reflect on these kind of heavy stories that, might have lived in our lives for many, many years. So have a fabulous week, my friends. Pondering, maybe reflecting, really diving into, if it feels right for you, this concept of forgiveness, this awareness to how can we forgive the unforgivable? So stay curious, stay open, and do your reflection work. Namaste, my friends. Thank you.